Nigel Brown, the Grand Secretary of the United Grand Lodge of England since 2007, is so keen to shrug off some of the reputation for secrecy and worse that has bedeviled Freemasonry since the back end of the 18th century. He joins me on the line now, and as the Grand Secretary of the United Grand Lodge is responsible for the report published today into the reality as opposed to the secrecy. Nigel, thank you so much for your time.
It's a great pleasure to join you.
Good. You will be more aware than I was of the astonishing levels of suspicion and worse that surround your organisation.
Well, very much so, and I think your programme has just illustrated this mass of a myth. And the problem is that when all this myth then becomes a reality. But I have to say that... and I think you've got the same sense that a great deal of rubbish has been talked today.
It would certainly seem that way. I will put some of the questions that callers raised to you imminently, but before that, what do you think explains the scale of what you describe, probably with some justification, as nonsense?
Well, the scale is enormous. I think the thing is that we want to put right immediately things that we are not a secret society.
But why is there so much suspicion, and where does this reputation come from? I mean, you must have given it rather more thought than the average man.
Very much so. I think there's... I mean, as I say, we've never been a secret society, but we've, over periods of time, we've had to be defensive. Can I give you, James, one example of that? Just before the Second World War, we were very overt, and newspapers were writing about us and so on. And of course, when Hitler was going to invade this country, and thank goodness he didn't, he actually was very anti-Masons as well as Jews. For example, when he invaded the Channel Islands, he ransacked our Freemasons' Hall, sent the Masons, just for being Masons, to concentration camps, and we think upwards of 200,000 Masons were actually sent to the gas chambers. So, of course, people in England then became very defensive, thinking he might invade. And, James, then that was compounded with people coming back from the war who, having shared this experience of bonding, on fighting on the front line, then formed lodges and became very inward-looking. And the result of all of that was that people got out of the habit of talking about it, which then compounded the myths.
That's absolutely fascinating, and it tallies with some of the other coverage I've read, which draws that parallel again with Jews, because Catholic reactionaries after the French Revolution, looking to blame anything that went wrong upon, well, I hesitate to say mysterious and secretive in the context of a religion, but upon people who weren't really well placed to answer back.
Well, that's absolutely right, and I think that this is a classic historical case where if people don't know about something, they start to fear it, and that fear then manifests itself in probably hatred and discrimination. So in a nutshell, why would one join? Why did you join? What is offered by membership of a lodge that is not offered by other avenues or alternatives? Well, I think the great thing about it is it's just a wonderful club to be a member of, and what I enjoy is a microcosm of society. For example, we've got people from all races, colours, religions, social and economic standing. And the great thing is we all meet as equals, and I don't think you can find anything quite... So you don't have... This is one of the questions. There isn't a sort of... I apologise for the flippant language, but there isn't a league of super Freemasons. No, there isn't. Not at all. And as I say, the wonderful thing is people come from all backgrounds, and we all meet together. And I would also like to stress that we're a non-religious and non-political organisation, and I'm delighted. There were a couple of Masons who came on who were stressing the giving side, the universal. So there's no Christian foundation to it. No, other than we do actually ask people to believe in a supreme being. In other words, in my case, it would be in God, but it's not in any way a religious organisation at all. But there's a purpose to actions on Earth which might be fully understood later. Well, I think it's as straightforward as this, James, that our values, and really, I've heard some people talking about our history going back many, many years. It really goes back to 1717 when the Grand Lodge of England was formed. We've lasted all this time. In 2017, we're going to be 300 years old, and although we've adapted to society around us, our values have never changed, and if I may say, they're based on integrity, kindness, honesty, and fairness. And we've never changed that, and, 300 years old in 2017.
And that explains your current interest in shrugging off some of this mantle of suspicion and secrecy. Would you mind if I put a few of the classic canards to you?
Oh, please do, yes.
Well, is there a handshake, Nigel?
There's not a handshake, no, there is not, and I'd like to put that myth to bed.
There must have been some sort of greeting at some point, because smoke without fire. I mean, it's such a integral part of anybody's understanding from the outside of Masonry. It's hard to imagine there wasn't even a kernel of truth to it.
Well, we shake hands like you and I would, if we met now, would just shake hands ordinarily, and I think it's the one thing that always surprises me when it says, well, that seems like a perfectly ordinary handshake, and they're actually terribly disappointed.
What a letdown.
I think what people confuse themselves with is that in our one-act plays, and one of your previous callers referring to, where you have to learn your lines
Yes.
and participate in, it's purely symbolic, that as you travelled around the world, you just had to sort of explain where you were in your trade, what level. You wouldn't want someone putting the